Welcome everyone to another virtual Excel Academy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are. We're with you at Virtual Excel Academy. Today, we have a session on using a Mac with VoiceOver. We've had a lot of requests for this particular session, so we are excited to feature Belinda Rudinger. She is an itinerant TVI from Texas, specifically Grand Prairie ISD. So please welcome Belinda in the chat room by saying hello to her and tell us, who are you? We would like to know who you are, where you're from, and perhaps maybe if you could let us know, are you a TVI too? And do you work with assistive technology and Macs and VoiceOver? Or perhaps you're a student and you use a Mac with VoiceOver as well. So let us know who you are and where you're from. Hello from Germany, Annette, welcome. Let me introduce our hostesses for today. Charlotte Cushman is from Paths to Literacy. She is also with Perkins and Texas School for the Blind. Hello, Charlotte.
Hey everyone, welcome.
We also have Leanne Grillat, Director of National Outreach Services from APH. Hello, Leanne.
Hello everyone.
And I am Cheryl Kumehanen. I am a professor at Cal State University, Los Angeles. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm actually the coordinator of the TVI program at Cal State LA. So that's where I always introduce myself as a professor, but I don't know that I made that connection, that I actually am related to this field. Anyways, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you are here with us. Hello, Joan. Hello, Janet. Hello, Yvonne Nuala. Welcome from North Carolina. Sanaya, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us today. Hello from Montana. Sharon Little from Atlanta, so welcome. Isabel from Colorado. Jerry, welcome from New Mexico. Jennifer, welcome from Alabama. Mary from Ohio. We have somebody from Nebraska. Buenos dias from Puerto Rico. It's morning time where I am. Hello in Canada. We're so glad you are all here, and I'm going to turn it over to Belinda. Thank you, Belinda.
One note, there will be times, just like some of our other sessions, that I will make chat quiet. And that is because Belinda is going to be using a tool that is going to talk to you, and we don't want to hear all of that over. So just be prepared. There's times when we're going to have the chat off and times when we're going to turn it on. Okay, Belinda.
Super, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it's really fun. I'm trying not to get distracted by the chat too much because I don't know about all of you, but I'm really noticing that in this remote landscape that we've all entered, I find myself so easily distracted. I have a million screens open, tabs open, my phone is around, so I'm trying not to distract myself, but I've already seen a few people that I recognize from populating in the chat, so it's super fun to see people here today. Welcome. So we're going to be going through, this is just an introduction. You may have noticed that the requirements, there's no requirements. I didn't require you to bring anything, prior knowledge, brain cells, anything like that. We are just going to kind of have some fun exploring some different options that this tool can provide to you. So again, think of it like exploration, just looking at what's possible. And one thing I really think, and you probably all know this, but one thing I really think is important when you're learning to use any screen reader is to really work on your listening skills. Some people have better listening skills than others. I know I can get kind of impatient and just click, click, click through things. But if we wait and we take our time, even if something goes wrong, we're probably going to get a hint on how to make it go right. So at any rate, we're just going to take our time and let VoiceOver help us. I already see a question. I'm going to go ahead and take that really quick. Aisha said, what is a Mac? It's a great question. It's a certain kind of computer. So there's personal computers or PCs, and I would say that's still the majority of what people use. And a Mac computer, it's short for Macintosh. It's the same company that has created iPads and iPhones and other iOS devices. So they also have desktop and laptop computers, and they have since the 80s. But it's just kind of a little bit of a different operating system. So that's a great question. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to give you a warning real quick too, just because I know there's a lot going on and we're all participating from not only different countries, but using different devices, different screens, different sensory channels. And so I just want to make sure you guys know that I'm going to be running a PowerPoint presentation, but that's mostly just to help me keep my place. And then I will also, at different times when I have VoiceOver turned on, VoiceOver has a little reading panel that will pop up. Sometimes it'll say things that are helpful. Sometimes it'll say things that are not so helpful. And there's also going to be a little Braille panel that pops up because I have a Focus 14 Braille display plugged in. We're going to get into that a little bit later. So just kind of let those hang out in the background. I've got them over to the side so they're hopefully not a visual distraction. And then you won't hear anything from them unless I've given them a chance to talk. So I'm going to go ahead and get started sharing my screen. And I am crossing my fingers for no technical difficulties because I already had an email problem before getting started. So I have already had my share today. So here we go.
You ready for chat quiet?
Yes. Alrighty, can everyone see my screen now? It should say
You're
getting
good.
started. Perfect. So again, I'm glad you're all here today and I'm excited to spend this next hour with you. So I probably was a little premature in saying to quiet the chat because I have two questions I want to ask. We're going to do them one at a time. The first one, and I think some of you were already jumping in on this, the first question I would like to know is, what do you already know about screen readers on a computer specifically? So not necessarily a tablet or a smartphone, but what do you know about screen reading software on a computer, a laptop, or a desktop?
And we are looking for the students to respond.
And it's okay if the answer is nothing, that's why I'm here, hello. That's just fine.
So someone says a pretty good bit. One person
Nice.
says it reads text on a screen.
Mm-hmm. Super. And I know there have been several sessions some of you guys may have already attended on either JAWS or NVDA or Chromebooks.
Well, that's all we're seeing so far.
Okay. All right. Well, then now I want to shift gears and ask another question. What do you already know about VoiceOver? And it doesn't necessarily have to be VoiceOver on a computer. It could be VoiceOver on an iPhone or an iPad. So just tell me anything you know about it.
So one person has not too much. One person says screen readers are programs that help people with visual limitation work with a computer and read text.
Beautiful answer.
Screen readers help blind and visually impaired people navigate the desktop and laptop.
Nice. I can tell there's been some TVIs doing some really good work too here.
It reads what's on my iPhone.
Very nice. Awesome. What about some different features that you might use with VoiceOver on an iPad or an iPhone?
I use it a lot on all iOS. To launch audiobooks.
Oh, that's a great one.
Audio software that helps people with challenges navigate visual text.
Very nice. That was worded really well. Super. All right, well, we'll go ahead and close that down and we're gonna keep jumping on and chatting here and then switching to having it off. So nice job. I can tell there are some smart people in the audience and I'm excited to have you here. So, all right. One thing I think is important to know whenever you're working with technology is there is always more than one way to do something. And I think a lot of this comes down to our personal preferences just as people. And then part of it also comes down to preferences that you have about whether you like to read visually with magnification, whether you like to read auditorily by listening to it, whether you like to read textually by using Braille or some sort of symbol. I think there's preferences like that that go along with the choices we make with technology. And I also think that sometimes it's just if you like something or if you don't like something, and it's okay to feel that way, because that's how we make choices about the TV shows that we watch, the phones that we use, the radio that we listen to, like different apps that we use. There's a lot of choice built into all of that. And so it's good to pay attention to the fact that there's more than one way to do a lot of different things, because the way you like to do it may be totally different than the way someone else might like to do it. For example, in my school district, we all have Mac computers, and there are a lot of, even without getting into VoiceOver, just using a Mac computer itself, you have a lot of ways of customizing things. You can customize how you use the trackpad and how you, if you do like a really light, soft kind of tap, or whether you do a harder press, you can choose whether you use 2 fingers to kind of scroll up or scroll down when you're reading pages. And so it can be funny because if you, like sometimes if I'm hopping onto a coworker's computer to fix something on their embosser or something like that, it's so hard to use someone else's computer just because they may have it customized for them and I have mine customized for me. So just within the world of Mac, before you even get into VoiceOver, there are a lot of ways that you can customize things, and that's kind of a fun thing about the product. So I'm going to talk just as we go along. You're going to hear me talk a lot about, you know, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. I'm going to prompt you to remember and remind me of some different ways that we could do things, just because I think it's important as you're learning a new device that you pay attention to what works for you and what is a good fit, because just because you learned one way doesn't mean there may not be another way. Just because your friend works really well using gestures instead of using a Braille display doesn't mean that you may not be the opposite. So it's just good to pay attention to that. Also, anytime I talk to anybody about technology, I think it's really important to have a growth mindset, because technology is going to play tricks on you. I think technology has its own personality, and sometimes, you know, no matter how many times you've practiced something, no matter how strong your skills are in a certain area, there can be something that goes wrong, and you just have to, like, I don't know, say plot twist and move on and fix it and problem solve. So I am positive, especially since I already had my email problem today, I'm sure that there may be a point today where I'm trying to navigate somewhere or use a certain command and it may or may not work. Now, these mistakes, you may not know. I could be doing them on purpose just to see if you catch me. I could be legitimately making a mistake without trying to, but we're gonna get back on track and fix it together, because honestly, that's part of how technology works. I know a lot of people, I think, want to be able to just get in and have it all work perfectly and just be able to follow a list that makes perfect sense and nothing ever goes wrong. But the problems really are part of, I don't know, it's just part of troubleshooting and part of learning your way around a new device. And I think we really learn well when we jump in and try things and then try to figure out how to change them. So we're going to have that growth mindset today. And if I get stuck, I'm going to need you to give me ideas, whether I'm pretending or whether I really am stuck. And so we're just going to have a good attitude and go on with it from there. One thing that we can do at any screen just to kind of help us if we do get stuck is we can use a combination that will give us some help. I'm going to talk about key command combinations in a minute, but just remember right now, if we need to get help, we're going to remember the letter H, which is probably pretty similar to other programs you may have been exposed to. Awesome. All right, so first of all, I want to talk about some ways that VoiceOver may be just like some of your experiences using JAWS, Job Access with Speech. So number one, first and foremost, what I want you to know is the control button still makes the voice stop talking, because sometimes any screen reader is going to tell you way more information than you want to know, and you just need it to stop for a second while you can catch up with the computer. So you still have the faithful control button, and it is going to give you a break in the speech. So we're going to definitely make use of that today. Now, a lot of the same key commands also work the same way. For example, if you are opening a new tab in a browser, you can still use the key command for Control T, except on a Mac, it's going to be Command T. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. There's, you know, cut, copy, paste, things like that. All of those that are kind of simple computer key commands, those are still going to work here. There may be a little bit of a different combination that you do, but they're still going to work. So just the information you already had, if you have attended any of the other Excel sessions on JAWS or NVDA or Chromevox, anything you bring with you to this, you're going to have a lot of really good information for things you can try. Also, things like tab and shift tab, your arrows, a lot of the like navigation key commands will still work. You're just going to use a command key instead of a control key. And the command key, I'll talk more about this in a moment, but it is just to the left of your space bar, where on a PC your Windows key would be. So it's right there and it's easy to access to make some of those commands. And then also you can assign some of your own commands just like you can in JAWS. So see how much you guys already know about VoiceOver just because you may know something about JAWS? Pretty awesome. All right. Now we're going to talk a little about what you may bring with you if you've ever interacted with an iPhone or an iPad. So basically, a Mac computer is in the exact same family as an iPhone or an iPad. One really cool thing I think about this is, other than other computers or other devices where you have to purchase software to layer on top, VoiceOver works right out of the box, kind of like magic. If you ordered a computer and had it delivered from the internet, you could take it out, turn it on, and VoiceOver is already part of it, so it could already talk you through everything that you're doing. Just like your iPhone or your iPad, it comes as part of it. Now, when I say it's built into the same ecosystem kind of sounds like a science word, but it's really just a way to think about that it's all integrated. So instead of a computer that then is learning to work with another piece of software, VoiceOver is literally just part of the Mac computer. It's built into it, and so every native application that comes on the computer is also going to work really nicely with VoiceOver. It's kind of like they're all relatives, they're all from the same family. So if you've ever used an iPad or an iPhone, you might find that there's features you like from those that are also available here on the Mac computer. Siri, AirDrop, things like that. We'll talk more about some of that later on, but a lot of what you may like about an iPhone or an iPad, you might also find yourself really liking about a Mac computer. And then finally, I don't know if a lot of you use gestures when you interact with an iPad or an iPhone. You know, there's gestures that you can use if you have vision, but then there's a different set of gestures that you use if you're operating a phone or an iPad with VoiceOver. Those same gestures are going to kind of make an appearance today when we use Trackpad Commander. So it's kind of fun just to see what you can apply from other areas. Okay, so here are things that are unique to the Mac operating system. One thing is called interacting. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's something I always forget about when I haven't used VoiceOver in a while and I've been using JAWS, because sometimes I'll press the enter key and I wonder why nothing's happening, and I realize it's because I have to use this interact feature. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. It comes with a Braille panel if you have a Braille display plugged in, as I do today, and a reading panel. And again, if you are watching the screen, you may see those panels at certain points. Otherwise, it's important to know that a nice thing about these features is that it can make it easier for a teacher to see what you're working on, for a parent, for a classmate or a friend. These panels, basically the reading panel shows up when you have VoiceOver on. You can also tell it not to show up. You have lots of choices with VoiceOver, but it'll show up and it'll say the text that VoiceOver is also saying at the same time. And then the Braille panel will show whatever if you have a Braille display that you're using, it'll show the Braille. And so, for example, if you were taking a spelling test and you had a teacher, like your third grade teacher, and your TVI wasn't there, and the third grade teacher wanted to see how you were spelling, she would be able to also see part of what you're doing, he or she. So it's just kind of nice to have another layer of information. Okay, now this is a fun feature that I use all the time, and I might be a bad influence here, but one thing I love about my Mac computer is that you can set up iMessages with it. If you use an iPhone or an iPad and you have the messaging feature, like the texting feature. So basically, I could be sitting here at a Zoom meeting or at a work meeting with a serious look on my face, typing intently. I could look like I'm taking notes, and really I could be like texting my friend about meeting up for coffee after school. So, you know, not to be a bad influence, but it really is kind of nice to be able to text along with the rest of your workflow, as opposed to, you know, picking up your phone. And if you are a good keyboardist, which I know some of you have been working on your skills through the Excel Academy, you know, I'm much faster when I'm typing on a keyboard and texting than I am when I'm using my phone. So it's just a fun little feature. You can also, again, like I said a moment ago, you can customize your computer to where no one even hardly wants to borrow it because you're scrolling up or you're tapping a certain way. And those things sound really small, but when you spend a lot of time on a computer, as I think a lot of us are doing nowadays especially, it can really be nice to do certain things to make it kind of your own. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, a lot of school districts don't use Mac computers. Again, the district that I'm in, we do, but we have it set up through something called Boot Camp, where we can also have access to Microsoft Windows. So when I load up my work computer, not my home, but my work computer, I get to choose the Mac operating system, or I get to choose the Windows operating system. And that way, like for example, a lot of my embossing software, like graphics software that I use, I need that to be on the Windows side of things. And so it's really nice to be able to use both, and that's a really cool feature. Okay. So we're going to take a tour to the best of our abilities in this virtual world. But the most important thing I want to talk to you about first, I know if you've had any experience with other screen readers, you've heard people talk about modifier keys. And so you have different keys that you're going to be able to use. When we talk about JAWS, I know you've heard about the insert key perhaps, or the caps lock key. So when you first start out with a Mac computer, there are two keys. And so, you know, I think most people have experienced the space bar. It's the big bar in the center of the keyboard on the very bottom row of the keyboard. And the button just to the left of the space bar, this is normally your Windows key on a PC computer, but on a Mac, it's your command key. And you're going to use this instead of control to do a lot of different commands. So like Command C for copy, Command V for paste, Command T for a new tab. If you used Control tab or Control before for a keyboard command, you're going to use Command now. And it's kind of easy to remember because instead of thinking key command, literally command is in the name of the little key. So it's just to the left of your space bar. Now, just to the left of the command key is an option key, which is unique to Mac, and it's also the same as the alt key. And just to the other side of that is their control key, which you'll use sometimes. So typically, when you start out with VoiceOver, you have to use the control and the option key as your VoiceOver keys. And you're gonna see, just kind of like in JAWS or NVDA documentation, when it talks about your JAWS key or your NVDA key, your VoiceOver keys or VO keys are control and option. But the nice thing is you can just fix it to being caps lock, which is so much easier because it's one less key to press. And because if you use different screen readers, you may be really comfortable already using caps lock. So one of the first things you can do when you set up a computer is just make sure you choose caps lock. So for today, if I say VoiceOver plus D or VoiceOver plus M, the VoiceOver key will be caps lock, and I'll probably say that most of the time. So, all right, so I want to go ahead and talk to you about the interacting feature just because it's going to come up a lot in what we talk about. Again, this is a feature that's not in Windows, JAWS, or NVDA, and I want you to kind of think about it as sitting in a chair or getting up out of your chair. And so if you were looking through a laundry list of key commands, sometimes when you are trying to get into something, instead of pressing enter, you're going to do Shift plus VO, which is the caps lock. So caps lock, Shift, and fortunately, those are right on top of each other on the left-hand side of your computer, and then down arrow. And so if you think about this, like if you're going to interact with a certain, like a table or a text box or a piece of information, it's kind of like you've got to sit down. Like right now I'm sitting down. So I am caps lock, shift, down arrow in my chair. But if I was going to stop interacting with that element, then I would press caps lock, shift, up arrow, and it's like I'm getting up out of my chair, which I would demonstrate, but then my chair will squeak and I'll be getting up and down the whole time. But if you guys are kind of wiggly and you're tired of sitting around all day, then I would encourage you, whenever we are interacting during this session, when you hear VoiceOver tell me to do shift VoiceOver down arrow, go ahead and sit down. And when you hear it say shift VoiceOver up arrow, go ahead and get up. And that'll kind of, you know, build your muscle memory that that's what you're doing every time you interact. Okay, so now we're going to open the chat up in just a minute. The first thing we're going to explore using VoiceOver is called the dock. The dock is basically where all of your favorite applications live. It's customizable, so my dock could look completely different from my coworker's dock. You get to choose whatever you want to have on it. So I want you guys to kind of think about any prior knowledge you might have about screen reading, and if you don't, then you know, we'll get there together. I want you to think about how we're going to get there. So I'd like us to open up the chat and see if anyone has an idea of a key command that might be used to get us to a dock.
Okay, the chat is open. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. So we're going to go to something called the dock, and there's a key command you can use to get into it. And I'm wondering if anyone has a good guess on how we might get there. It's called the dock.
I'm seeing VO plus D.
Oh my
for
gosh.
command and down arrow.
What a smart set of ideas. Let us try them both. First, I'm going to turn on VoiceOver. VoiceOver is toggled on and off with command and F5. F5 is kind of halfway in the middle of the very top row of your computer on all of your function keys. So I'm pressing command and F5.
VoiceOver on, speech off.
Oh. I'm going to show you that later. That's the screen curtain, but that was a little preview.
VoiceOver unmuted.
All right, so we are going to try out your ideas for getting to the dock. I heard someone say VoiceOver plus D, D for dock. So I'm going to try that one first. And since I've already changed my VoiceOver keys to cap lock, I'm going to press cap lock and D. Let's see what happens.
Dock.
Oh my gosh.
Google Chrome open.
You guys are so smart. We're already on the dock. So that was it. Perfect. VoiceOver plus dock gets you into the dock, and you choose what you have in the dock. And so we're going to go through and listen to it a little bit. While we're listening, I would love for you guys to tell me in the chat, listen for how many items are in my dock, and listen for how to open one. Are you ready?
System preferences open. Cheryl 19 Zoom.us. Can you give us a reminder? What is the VO key again?
The VO key typically is Control and Option, but for right now, I have it set for caps lock. You can choose either choice. For me, it's easier to press one key than two. Great question. Oops.
Mute button. Mute button.
Oh, it's because I pressed mute. There you go.
Dock. System preferences open. 4 of 19. You are currently on an application dock.
Okay, so did anybody hear how many items I have in my dock?
I've opened the chat. Did anyone hear how many?
Yvonne Sullivan to everyone. 19. C Mac to everyone.
Nice.
19. Glenda Anderson to everyone. Command 19. Jennifer Johnston to everyone. 19. Brandy Garcia to everyone. 19. C Naya to everyone. 4. Trackpad commander. VoiceOver muted.
Super, so you guys are good listeners? Okay, so we've got 19 items on my dock, and then at a certain point it will tell you how to open, but basically you're just arrowing to the right or the left, and pressing enter. Now, there's also something that happens if you press up arrow, it'll give you additional options. So I'm just going to demonstrate that really quick. If we could turn off the chat for a moment.
It's off.
Awesome. I'm getting better at that. Thank you, ladies, for helping. Okay, so I'm going to do VoiceOver, which I have it set as caps lock, VoiceOver D. Whoops, first I gotta turn my sound back on.
VoiceOver unmuted. You are currently on a button. To click this button, press closing menu, dock, Google Chrome, open, 3, preview, open, Finder, open, 1, preview, Google Chrome, system, messages, Microsoft, VoiceOver utility, open, 8 of 19. You are currently on an application.
So I have VoiceOver utility set in my dock just for today's workshop. I don't normally keep it there, but VoiceOver utility is what you are going to use to get into a lot of different things. You can adjust your Braille display, you can adjust what you hear and when, how the cursors work. There's a bunch of things like that that you can adjust. So one other thing that I want to tell you, because this is a little bit different. Okay, just like every other computer, you can escape what you're doing by pressing, guess what? Escape. But there's 2 commands to close things that are just a little different from the other screen reader commands, and so I wanted to make sure to tell you. Command W closes a window, and Command Q closes an application. Now these do kind of make sense because Command W close a window. So if you have 4 tabs open in a browser, if you have 3 Microsoft Word documents, things like that, you'll use Command W if you just want to close the current window. If you want to quit out of an application, like at the end of this presentation when I'm going to close this PowerPoint, you do Command Q, and that's for quit. But still, they're different commands than otherwise. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But that's the dock, and you already figured out so much. So I'm going to go a little bit faster, I think.
VoiceOver off.
Okay, so moving on, I talked for a moment about the VoiceOver utility and tutorial. There is a 22 panel tutorial that you can use, and when you originally open a Mac computer and get started, if you turn VoiceOver on, which again you can do with Command and F5, it'll prompt you to go through the tutorial. You can check a checkbox to not have to do it over and over once you've done it once, but you can also always go back to it, and it lives in the VoiceOver utility that I showed you in the dock a moment ago. And then also in the VoiceOver utility, that's where you get to make a lot of choices. And so you can choose, you know, you could choose to have all different voices. You could choose to how much you want to show on the screen of a certain amount of text. You can make choices about the Braille panel or the reading panel. You can, this is where you would also make the choice about how to make sure that you're using caps lock as your VO key. So at any rate, it's always there, and you can do a lot of different settings. All right, so next we are going to look at menus. So just like when you go to a restaurant, lots of programs have menus. They're going to be different based on what program you're in. Right now, if you're watching the screen that I'm sharing, I've got PowerPoint up, and it has a row, the ribbon at the top of all of these different options, and those are all menus. So I'd like us to open the chat and find out, I know you guys are going to nail it, how do you get to a menu?
Chat is open.
And a hint is that you can use the same logic you used when telling me how to get to the dock. Does anyone have an answer?
Jennifer has VO plus M. Sanaya says the window key.
Ooh, smart. On and when you say the window key, the Mac doesn't have a Windows key, but it does have that Command key, which is in the same spot as the Windows key. So I can see how you're thinking, especially because we use that Command key a lot. All right, so I'm going to try, I will try Command M, and I'm going to try VoiceOver M. We can close the chat.
Yep.
Okay, so let's
VoiceOver on PowerPoint.
Sorry, sometimes I the computer, but it's okay. We have a good relationship. So, okay, I'm going to press Command M. Oh my goodness, what happened?
Minimize.
It minimized it. Okay, well, that makes sense. And now I know how to minimize it, so I'm actually glad we tried that. Whoopsie.
Zoom.us. Microsoft PowerPoint. Trackpad Commander off.
Alrighty.
Now in Virtual Excel.
All right, so that worked. It didn't open our menu, but it did teach us another awesome skill is how to minimize something and get out of it. So that's a good one to remember, is that Command M is minimize. Let's try VO key, which is caps lock, and M.
Menu bar, Apple.
Oh, perfect.
You are currently on a menu bar.
And I wonder how I'm going to get around this. I am going to try arrowing, and I'm going to have us listen while I arrow. I'm going to use my right arrow.
PowerPoint.
Okay.
Your file. You are currently on a menu bar item. To open this menu, press caps lock space.
Oh, so if I want to open the menu, I could press caps lock space. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you can slow yourself down a little and listen, it'll usually tell you what you're trying to figure out.
Edit. Your view. You are currently on a menu bar.
Each of these, I could keep going to the right, and you could arrow up and down, especially I think that's good if you're exploring a new program. Maybe you don't use PowerPoint a lot. I think arrowing is a nice way just to kind of get the lay of the land. But once you're getting to where you're using a program a lot and you probably want to use you know, some quicker shortcuts, first letter navigation, etc. I'm going to go back over to File.
Edit. File. File. Menu. New presentation command. N. You are currently on a menu.
Okay, so I just heard something that was really helpful to me. I heard new presentation command N. And so that is what I would use if I wanted to do a new presentation. If I scroll down, just like a menu, if you're using a menu in another program using a screen reader like JAWS, a lot of these hints are just given to you right here in the menu. So I'm going to see what else I can learn.
New from template ellipsis command shift P. Open ellipsis command O.
Oh, and by
You
the
are
way,
currently on a menu.
it's saying ellipsis instead of, oh no, never mind. It's saying ellipsis just because there's an ellipsis.
Open recent submenu. Save command S. You are currently on a menu.
So if you didn't know the save command, or if you were wondering if it was the same as on other operating systems, this menu shows you that Command and S will work just like you did before. And then to get out of this menu, I'm going to press Escape.
Closing menu. Thumbnail pane.
All right. So you may or may not use this very often, but one tool that I use a whole lot no matter what computer I'm using, like whatever operating system and whatever program I'm using, I use context menus a lot. And typically there's a key command that uses M with that. So there's another way that you can create a command to be able to do something else with the same letter. So we already know that it's not Command M. Because we found out that minimized. We already know that it's not caps lock M because we know that that takes us to the menu. So when you are trying to kind of brainstorm about what command might work, you can try shift, because a lot of times if you've got the VoiceOver keys and shift and then another letter, that'll get you somewhere else. So we're gonna try and see if we can open a context menu that way. I'm gonna press caps lock, again, which is my VO key, shift and M. Whoops.
Rounded rectangle shape. You are currently on a shape inside of a grouped object.
And because I'm on that shape, it's not gonna let me do it.
Edit text. You are currently on a text area.
Okay, and this is one of those fun moments I told you I know I was gonna have, because again, I'm interacting with a combination of the trackpad, the VoiceOver keys, etc. Sometimes I'm gonna run into an issue like that.
Edit text.
In the wrong place.
You are currently on a text area. In slide editor pane, slide 10 of 20 slide. Word. Open new and recent file.
So from here, I'm gonna try and Word to open that same menu. So it should be caps lock, shift, and M for the context menu.
5 items. Rudinger, Belinda.
So it did it that way. Sometimes if you were on the wrong place,
Belinda, accounts.
it won't always work. And so when you have too many screens open, you have to be careful about things like that. But my point in doing all of that is just to show you that caps lock and M, if that's already taken and you want to know how to open the context menu, you would use caps lock and shift. So there is a way around that.
VoiceOver off.
Awesome. All right, so another feature that I know you guys use a lot is the desktop. I'm not a big desktop user myself, just because, I don't know, I like to have a big picture, and I don't know. It's kind of like the way you organize your house. Like some people like certain things in drawers or in file folders, or maybe you like certain things in certain piles, but I don't know. I just don't put a lot on my desktop. And because Mac uses a dock, you're not really going to have like shortcuts on the desktop, although you could if you wanted to. But all right, I wanted to ask you guys in the chat, how do you think we're going to get to the desktop if VoiceOver and D is already taken with dock? And then I also wanted to know, do you guys like to keep things on your desktop?
Okay, the chat is open. Will you say the question one more time?
Yes. So the first question is, since VoiceOver and D is already taken with going to the dock, how do you think we might go to the desktop? What extra key do you think we could press to make a new command?
There's somebody that said VoiceOver key plus shift plus D. I see another one of those, VoiceOver plus D plus shift.
Yep, so that's what we're gonna do. Perfect. And then you can go ahead and turn shut off.
Well, what was the other question? You had one more.
Thank you. The other one was actually, do you guys like to keep things on your desktop? Do you like to save files to your desktop if you use a or if the desktop of your computer is what I'm talking about? Do you like to keep things there? Do you keep things in different folders? Do you like to go to your desktop and then use, you know, first letter navigation to open a program? I was just curious, since you might end up using a Mac.
If you use your desktop to store items, put a Y in the chat.
What a perfect way to phrase that.
Oh, we're getting a bunch of Ys. There's lots of people that store things on their desktop.
Oh, good. All right. I figured that might be the case. So we're going to go ahead and check that out. You can close the chat because I'm going to turn VoiceOver on. I swear.
Oh, and then it would be very noisy with Y.
It's so fun, like presenting with a group of people who help you coordinate all of this technology. So this is a fun experience for me, and I appreciate you guys. All right. Turning VoiceOver on with Command F5.
VoiceOver on PowerPoint, Virtual Excel Academy.
And I'm going to try VoiceOver key, Shift, and D.
Finder, desktop, group. You are currently on a folder.
Okay. And unfortunately, I just realized that I put my Braille panel on top of my folders. So I'm going to move those out of the way. And yes, so my desktop, I don't have a lot of things here. But I put some folders here just so that I could demonstrate it to you. So I've only got 2, and you can arrow to go.
This folder gets a cool name, folder. Hi, I'm a folder. This folder gets a cool name, folder.
So again, they are not very exciting, but you could fill your desktop with all of your program shortcuts and files and things like that. I just like to keep them all kind of off to the side somewhere. But you were exactly right that caps lock or VoiceOver key, Shift, and D is how you got there. So perfect. And I think really, I hope you guys like can give this is cheesy to say because probably a lot of you are older, but like you should really give yourself a pat on the back, like literally take your right hand, reach it over behind your neck, pat yourself on the back, because you're already using, you know, some of you may already have used a Mac computer before, but otherwise you're using knowledge that you know from other devices and seeing how it works on a Mac and seeing that it does work. So that's a really, really good skill to have.
VoiceOver off.
Awesome. So, all right, so that was our desktop. There are a lot of different ways in on a Mac to get where you want to go. And again, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, just with technology in general, I think it's important to know that there's a lot of different ways to do what you want to do. And so one thing that I love, and I think it's on the iPad also, I just don't use it as much on that, is called Spotlight. It's a really simple way that you can open anything that you want. So if you forget where you put something, or if you just want a really quick search, you can use Spotlight. So the way you do it is Command, which again is just to the left of your space bar. Oh, well, I've got to have VoiceOver on first, of course. And so
VoiceOver on power.
I'm going to do Command and space bar, and you hold them down at the same time.
Siri, talk to Siri button.
Siri, open Google Chrome.
PowerPoint, virtual.
Okay, so that was one of my mistakes that I knew I was going to make at some point. When you open Spotlight, you can also have it set to where Siri will open with the same key command. And so I think that that is what I have done here. I think if I do Option Command and space, it'll open Spotlight. So let's try that.
Finder,
Okay.
searching this Mac.
See, I may make mistakes, but I can fix them. So.
Search.
We all do. It is okay.
So I'm just going to search for, I'll search for, I can't think of anything to search for. I'll search for Google Chrome since that's what I asked Siri about.
CH. Finder business. Menu, 2 items.
So it came up with a lot of different choices, and Chrome is one of them.
Closing menu. CH. Insertion at begin. Google Chrome application. Wunderlist for Chrome application. Google Chrome application.
That worked.
You are currently on a collection. To begin interacting with the items.
A lot of times what I do is if I've saved a file and I don't remember the name of it, but I remember part of what I called it, things like that. Like, it's just a really nice, fast way to find something. So I use this a lot.
VoiceOver off.
Okay, so, and again, some of this, you know, I could be here all day talking about this, so I've got to spend more time on some things than others. There are some other ways to get around. One is called Quick Nav, and it involves turning on just a different way of navigating where you don't have to know as many commands, and you do it by pressing down the left arrow key and the right arrow key at the same time, and then you can just use arrows to get around. You also have a rotor, and you may have used the rotor a lot on an iPad or an iPhone if you're a VoiceOver user on those devices, but it's just another way to kind of use gestures to access different things. So we may come back to that if we have more time, but I want to get to a few other things. But it's just good to know there's a lot of options. All right, so one thing I'm excited to show you is Trackpad Commander. Basically, it's something that toggles on and off, and it allows you to use gestures just like you do on your iPad or your iPhone. And so if you've ever used Screen Curtain, for example, where you want to have some privacy or you want to save battery, really, I think it's for privacy. It can also be if you want to play a trick on your parent or your TVI or your teacher and have them say, oh my gosh, your screen is black, your device isn't working. Haha, you can turn it right back on. You can also mute VoiceOver. You can use all of the same gestures that you use on an iPhone or an iPad. And so, I'm going to demonstrate that now. So I'm going to turn VoiceOver on with Command and F5. And the way you turn it,
VoiceOver on PowerPoint.
the way you turn it on is you hold down your VoiceOver keys. For me, that's caps lock. And then you're going to do a gesture that to me is kind of like the rotor gesture if you've ever done that on your
Space.
On your phone. But it's like a little, you're going to use 2 fingers. And you kind of twist, it's your pointer and your middle finger. I'm using my right hand because I'm right-handed. And you kind of twist. So it's like your pointer finger goes up while your middle finger goes down. And it's just kind of like you're twisting something on a dial. And I'm trying to demonstrate that, but I'm also trying to describe it. But
Does it matter which direction you twist?
That's a perfect question, because if you twist to the right or clockwise, you're going to turn on Trackpad Commander. And if you go the other way, you're going to turn it off. So I'll show you both. I can't really show you my fingers, but you'll have to trust me.
Trackpad Commander on.
So that worked because I pressed cap lock and I did the little twist with clockwise. And then I can turn it off just as easy.
Trackpad Commander off.
And so
Slide editor pane. Slide edit text insertion on.
So that's something that works.
Let's try Trackpad Command.
That's something that works really, really nicely. And then again, it does allow you to use all those commands you may know from your iPhone or your iPad. So screen curtain is a 3-finger triple tap.
Screen curtain on.
Oh my gosh. So if you were using Vision to attend to this presentation, the screen went black. You can still hear me, but the screen is gone. Now I'm going to do 3-finger tap 3 times again.
Screen curtain off.
It's magic. All right. If you want to mute VoiceOver, it's really, really easy. Instead of pressing the control key, to use the 3-finger tap twice. So it's a 3-finger double tap.
VoiceOver muted.
Yay. And then that works for as long as you leave it on. So I can do it again and turn it back on. But it's really, really nice because it allows you to use a skill that you may have already built up, because I think a lot of people are using iPads at a young age or iPhones at a young age, you know, your parents' phone or whatever. So I think that it's really nice to be able to do that, and it's really kind of fun. I wish that I could, you know, show you my finger at the same time as it's going, but basically instead of navigating with arrow keys or with command keys, you can use the same gesture that you may be used to using on the phone or the iPad to just go through things really, really quickly. And so like for example, I'm gonna unmute.
VoiceOver unmuted. Edit. Bottom set edit set top left resize handle.
So see how just that quick little flick of your finger that you may be used to doing on your iPad makes it really fast to navigate around. So if you were going like up and down on slides, or especially on websites, I think it can be nice to just navigate really, really quickly to get to where you want to go. So I just think that's another really nice choice, the fact that you could use a combination of gestures, a combination of, you know, Braille display if you use one, plus all the key commands. So there's more than one way to do things.
VoiceOver off.
Awesome. All right, so let's take a look at the Braille panel. I already have it plugged in, and it is, and again, this is something where I could hold it up to the video camera, but I'm also just going to describe that I've got a Focus 14 Braille display plugged in, and it works really nicely. And it also, when I have VoiceOver on, will show a panel of like a little virtual panel that shows what you were typing in Braille. And so sometimes as a TVI myself, you know, I can't see what's happening underneath my students' fingers as they're Brailing it. And so having this panel is a really nice way for me as a teacher to see what you guys are up to. So.
And it holds more than just a Sim Braille font. It looks like it's holding print as well.
Thank you, yes. And so again, that can also be really nice for your teachers who may not know Braille as well. So to practice the panel real quick, we're going to do a really quick Word document, and I was going to prompt you guys to tell me, but you've caught on so fast that I'm pretty sure you would tell me that to create a Word document, I'm going to do VoiceOver D to get to the doc. I'm going to arrow over to Word, open Word. So I'm going to demonstrate that there. And remember, there's always more than one way. You can use first letter navigation, other shortcut keys. I could turn on my track commander and do the little, do the gestures really quickly. I could use arrows if I don't remember many of my command keys. So whatever stage you're at, there's a lot of ways that you can do what you want to do. So I'm just going to practice that really, really quickly. VoiceOver's coming back on.
VoiceOver on power.
All right, so caps lock or VoiceOver D gets me to the doc.
Microsoft Power. Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word. Open. Word. Open new and recent files. Window. Belinda. Account setting.
I'm going to do Command N to do a new document. Yay.
Word busy. New document.
So I'll type this on the Braille display.
Space.
And it just says hi.
Dot sig M Y space. Dot N space I S space. Dot B E L I D A space.
Okay, so you may have heard that I have it set up to, it's reading out the letters that I type in the Braille display and then also saying the word. But if you want to hear it say the whole thing, it's a similar command that you might know from JAWS. It's going to be, instead of Control A, Command A.
Select all.
It is. I promise it is. It worked last time I used it. See, I tell you, computers play tricks on us.
Belinda, account settings, menu button. Scroll area. You are Belinda, account settings, Belinda, account settings, menu button.
And this may be because I have Track Commander on, because sometimes things don't work the same way if you're mixing it up too much.
Trackpad Commander is already Trackpad Commander off. Belinda, account settings, menu button.
So I think we're still in the menu. And there is something that I'm messing up on. But typically, VoiceOver A will read it. But again, I shared with you guys, I'm already having a day with technology because my email account won't work. But at any rate, if we had more time, I would spend more time on this. But I want to show you one last quick thing about the internet, and our time is going by so fast. Do I still have time to show one more thing?
Real quick.
Awesome. All righty. So the last thing I want to
PowerPoint,
show you
Virtual Excel account.
is that there's a really cool way that you can navigate things on the internet. It gives you kind of a different way to look at the headings, lists, forms, things like that. And so
VoiceOver off.
So basically, if you open up Google Chrome by doing VoiceOver Doc in Chrome, you can do Command T to open a new tab and then search for whatever you're going to search for. So I'm just searching for Munchkin cats. And then I'm going to turn on VoiceOver and just demonstrate this for you really, really quick. So
VoiceOver on Chrome, Munchkin Cats, heading level 1. Accessibility.
So I've already done my search. And
Link, skip to me.
I'm going to press VoiceOver
Link.
key and U.
Chrome has new window. Windows parts menu.
And now you can arrow through these different types of options on a web page. So there's window spots. I'm going to arrow.
Links menu.
Then there's all these different links that I could choose from, and I can arrow up and down.
Link, 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 link. 10:42. Munchkin cats are adorable and so tiny cute. Link. 7:32. How fast can Munchkin cats run? Link. 7:27. Headings menu.
Then there's a headings menu.
Form controls menu.
Form controls.
No items in web spots menu.
So I just
no items in web spots menu.
That is also a fun way that you can.
No items in web spots menu. Closing web spots menu.
Sorry.
VoiceOver off.
Couldn't turn VoiceOver off until I escaped out of that. But it's just kind of a different way to navigate through links, headings, things like that when you're using a Mac. So I know I'm out of time and I didn't get as much time to interact with all of you as I wish I could have. I am happy to share the presentation and links and take any questions if we have a moment for a question. But
so if you'll stop sharing your screen for a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've opened the chat back up if there are any questions coming in. And while we wait for those to come in, Cheryl, can you tell us what's coming next tomorrow?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Belinda. What a wonderful session on VoiceOver. Like I said, this was a popular request. So I know that we will be having a big audience taking a look at this. It will be archived on the Paths to Literacy website for anybody who would like to see it again or pass it along. For tomorrow, we have Ann Bell. It will be our first music lesson, and we're very excited to feature her. She comes to us with a music background as a former choir director, and she will be joining us with her guitar, and we hope that you will be joining us too. So stay on board just for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, and Belinda will be able to answer those. Put them in our chat window so we're able to see them. Thank you again, Belinda. Thank you, everyone, for hosting. And we'll stick
Belinda,
around.
What was the command to get to the links and headings again?
Yes, it is VoiceOver key. So for me, that's caps lock plus U.
Okay. And then how did you set it up so you have a Braille display?
The Mac interface works really well. There's not a lot of drivers or anything like that you have to do, so it makes it really simple. So I plugged it in with my cord, and then the VoiceOver utility option that I showed at the beginning, it has a lot of ways that you can set up different things, and Braille display is one. So like I chose UEB and contracted, for example, whereas for a little one, you would want to choose uncontracted. And
how did you assign that caps lock for VO again?
Also the VoiceOver utility. So any of those questions about customization are going to be VoiceOver utility.
Okay, well, I am going to say thank you so much, and this has been fun. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you.